What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? You are now watching J.U.K Sports Show. I'm your host, King Ralph, here with the homie and my co-host, the homie Kai. What's popping, bro?
Hey yo, welcome to NBA season, man. I'm glad to be back, man. It's time to ball.
Yeah, yeah. Hoops is in. Hoops is in.
Yeah.
Before we get everything going, shout out to the Aces. Went to the Aces parade. Got my Aces merch. Got my shirt. Got my towel. Raised the
Woo.
stakes. We're going back to back, and then we're gonna get a three-peat. But
Easy.
But this show has been brought to you not by the Aces, but it's been brought to you by Fitboxer. If you know one of the podcasts like what you're watching, music videos, photo shoots, call the number on the bottom of the screen, 707 Fitboxer. Make sure you go and follow all of our socials. Go and like our Facebook page, the He Say She Say on one word channel. Make sure you go and subscribe on YouTube, J.U.K Media.
Mhm.
And follow all of our socials that are on the bottom. I'm going to run through them again at the end of the episode because we got a lot to get to today. So we're doing our NBA 2023-2024 season predictions. We're going to start off with division winners. So starting out Northwest in the North, the big Northwest. Who you
Yeah.
got?
So in the northwest, west side, I'm going with the defending NBA champion Denver Nuggets, man. And the reason why I'm going with the defending NBA champion, defending NBA champion Denver Nuggets, Ralph, is because when I look at the Denver Nuggets, right, they're a team that didn't really lose much from their championship squad. Yes, they lost Bruce Brown, but what they lost in Bruce Brown, they gained in Christian Braun, who also gained valuable NBA Finals experience, who played well in the NBA Finals. He's a younger defender who's also very athletic, far more athletic than Bruce Brown, and I believe that he's going to take that next step. He was a championship level player as well in college in terms of having the skill set. He played at Kansas, a really good player. Also, you have to think about the emergence of Michael Porter Jr. continuously adding to his game, and Jamal Murray will be 2 years removed from his knee surgery. So Jamal Murray was a player that we are projecting will make his first All Star game finally, a first All Star appearance. So if he's an All Star player, I believe that screen and roll game with Nikola Jokic, who's extremely durable. You could say he's the most durable superstar of any superstar in the NBA. He constantly, continuously plays 70 plus games, and their offense just makes sense. And they're a very good team as far as defensively. They play good team defense. So I think that coupled with the altitude that they play in, don't sleep on Denver. I don't think they're really going to take a step back. They have a chance to actually win back-to-back titles potentially, but we'll get into that later. So I think I'm going to go with Denver in the regular season. So
I previous to this, I had a different team.
mhm.
And watching them play yesterday, I feel like it's not going to be that much of a drop off, and I don't think anybody got that better outside. Maybe the Suns, if the Clippers can stay healthy, to take them out. And so I think, although those other teams I mentioned are in another conference or another division, I just feel like at the end of the day, when it comes to the competition, I had the Timberwolves
I like
into
that.
the division because I do like them. I think that now Anthony Edwards is going to go in, and now he's going to get a position to where the ball's going to have to go through him, and so you could get a different looking team. But after watching yesterday's game, I see nothing that makes me want to say that the Nuggets are not going to win that division, and so I'm gonna go with the Nuggets out in the Northwest,
All
and then
right.
in the Pacific
Mhm.
division, which is probably the deepest. I feel like all 6 teams could possibly make at least a play in.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna go with the Phoenix Suns, man. I think what I saw yesterday, and we'll get into the details of the game, but I think that the way that the team is constructed, I was real big on Nurkic and the addition of Nurkic, big body, being able to hit the mid range, post up, being able to be a playmaker. and distribute the basketball, i.e., a kind of a great value Jokic. I think you could get that type of production from him to where D Book, Bradley Beal, as well as KD can play complementary roles coming off of the ball, moving without the basketball. And then when it gets to the fourth quarter, Devin Booker is able to take over majority of the ball handling duties, and KD can be a spot up shooter or a catch and react. And so I'm gonna go Phoenix Suns, although I wouldn't be surprised to see the Clippers.
Mm. Okay. All right. So I actually really love that Phoenix Suns pick, and I'm almost convinced to pick the Phoenix Suns. I think when I look at on paper, the Phoenix Suns they have the most collection of talent. They also have scoring, the two most prolific scorers I think coming out of that division. Ralph, when you look at Kevin Durant, who I consider to be the greatest scorer of all time. Sorry, Michael Jordan, just my personal opinion. Maybe we can do a show on that. I have it's like KD, Mike, and Kobe, and also you have Devin Booker. I mean, even last night, Ralph, if you saw the game, Devin Booker just his 3-level scoring ability, how he's scoring the basketball, his efficiency. He's just playing very, very high level basketball, and he has been honestly in the last like 3 years or so, and he's taking a commitment to the defensive side of the ball. You get a defensive minded coach and Frank Vogel. I think they can play team defense as well, and I think that. One thing that I had to think about, Ralph, was what if KD gets hurt? Well, if KD gets hurt, okay, now you can insert Bradley Beal, who didn't even play, right, last game. And so Devin Booker is familiar with handling the ball. So I think they have enough scoring. They filled out their bench, right? Now, will some of those guys really be there for them in the playoffs? Because Grayson Allen's been shaky. Eric Gordon has actually been shaky over the last couple of years. But we're talking about the regular season. So I do like Phoenix, but I'm going to take the long shot here, and I'm going with the Sacramento Kings because I think people are forgetting the Sacramento Kings. They made the playoffs last year for the first time since Lupe Fiasco released Food and Liquor in 2006. So that was impressive. And and Mike Brown, right? Coach of the year. So you have a coach of the year, a 2-time coach of the year, and they have, I think, plus 900 odds. They have like the worst odds to win the division. And last time we saw what happened when they were doubted in the playoffs, right? And they pushed the Warriors to 7 games. So I think for a team that went second, I don't see this huge precipitous drop for the Sacramento Kings, who had the number 1 scoring offense in the entire NBA. So if anything, they should get better. I think the knock on the Kings, Ralph, will be their defense and expectation. Can they deal with expectations? See the Atlanta Hawks from a couple of years ago. So I do like the Phoenix Suns. I'm with you, but my sleeper would be the Sacramento Kings.
All right. Next up, Southwest. Who you got?
Southwest, I'm going to make this quick and easy and swing it to you. I got to go with Jimmy Butler and Heat culture, man. I know that everyone's like, oh, you missed out. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Southwest, not Southeast.
Southwest. Oh, okay. Good correction. Thank you. Southwest, like a Southwest salad, man. I'm going with Nola. Yeah, Zion. You got to get in shape. You got to stay focused on basketball, man. You know, you was on Agent Gill and all that and all these shows. Come on, man. Let's just get on the court. And I believe in grown man B.I., Brandon Ingram. I believe in Herb Jones, someone who I think could potentially make an all-defensive team. I believe in their coach still. I think they had to go through some growing pains again. I think that they were expecting Zion to be there last year, and he just wasn't. But I think that this is the time, man. I just like the Pelicans and their makeup of their team, and I'm going to go back to the well, Ralph, and I'm going to go with the Pelicans. I got to go back to the well with them. All right.
Okay. And I think with me, man, I can see where you're coming from, but I'm gonna go Grizzlies. I'm gonna go Memphis Grizzlies. I think that the team that they have, you get Marcus Smart, you get leadership in Marcus Smart, tough defense. You get leadership in Derrick Rose, but also the production on the court, on the basketball court. I think it's gonna be enough for them to hold on until Ja can come back, and then at that point, nothing that Ja has showed me, nothing that would tell me that he's not going to come back and be able to run his stride as soon as he comes back. And so I think the team that they have depth, scoring. They have a big three in Bane, Jaren, and Ja. And so I think I haven't seen anything that's going to show me otherwise
Yeah,
uh, with them. Now, if Zion can be healthy for 60, 65 games, then we're having a different conversation here later on in the season. But right now, I'm not predicting injuries, but going based off of what I've seen, Zion got to show me otherwise.
understood, understood. And
And
Ja
so,
will have a chip on his shoulder too.
yes, he will. Yes, he will. And so you've already given yours. So I'm gonna go on mine, and then I'm gonna let you go a little bit more
Yeah.
in depth on yours. And so I'm gonna go with the Hawks, man. I think that Trey Young has a lot to prove. DeJounte Murray has a lot to prove. I think that we're in a guard-driven league, so those two can really take you a long distance. Um, and it's just what can their new coach
Mm.
can he keep them in order and keep them focused on what the mission is at hand? And I think that he will be able to. I think that at some point you drove this coach, Trey Young drove first coach out, next coach Nate McMillan, and then it's like the arguments that they're having. You can see where Nate McMillan is coming from, so it makes Trey look bad. So now at this point, go out there, play basketball. You're not. These are reasons why you're not getting picked for the USA team, regardless of how you feel about it. There are reasons why, and when you give people ammo, these are reasons why you're not getting picked for these teams. And so I'm gonna go with the Hawks to win the Southeast. I know
All
you got
right.
the Heat, but you gotta tell me why.
All right. I love that, and I love the reasoning behind it. You know, and Trey Young and Deontay Murray, and that is, I believe, still can be a dynamic backcourt. And you know, Deontay Murray can defend. He's been a first team All Defender too. But I'm going to go with the Heat because I believe that they can play defense as well. And so I'm looking at the Heat for two reasons. Identity and consistency. The Miami Heat are one team there that has identity, right? And they also have been a consistent team, and they also have the coaching. Coaching matters in the NBA, and Eric Spoelstra was never won Coach of the Year. I don't know why, but I consider him the best coach in the East as well. And I also considered him the best coach in the NBA at times too. So you know that's also up for debate, right? So I'm looking at the coaching, the fact they have identity, and I also look at Bam Adebayo, a player who's never won Defensive Player of the Year, and I think that he's still has a chip on his shoulder because of that. Because he said, "I defended 1 through 5, and I don't win. Right? Why am I not winning? Right? I'm not even getting the top 3. I'm getting top 4, and I'm getting top 5. I'm looking at Jimmy Butler and also Tyler Hero coming out and making statements. This is another year where Tyler Hero, if he can stay healthy and he can make that jump. Yes, they lost Gabe Vincent and everything. But I think the three of those players and also Caleb Martin getting that playoff experience Ralph last year was huge coming out of Reno. So shout out to Caleb Martin there. So I just think that that whole team, they have an identity and they're going to be hungry and they're going to be focused to get back to where they were last year, even though they lost some of that bench production.
All right, next up, the Atlantic Division. I'm gonna
And
go Celtics. I'm gonna go Celtics. I'm gonna go
Mhm.
Boston. I think that they just added too much, and the pieces fit right. Now the question is everybody's gonna go to is losing Marcus Smart. How much of a loss is that? But I think swapping out a Marcus Smart for a Drew Holiday gives you equal leadership, toughness, and he's a better player
Mhm.
at the end of the day. And I think that he also gives them something like we talked about at the end of last season, an actual point guard, someone to run the offense that can go get a bucket, but also hit the open man. And
Mm.
your stereotypical pass first point guard, but at the end of the day, Drew Holiday is a very great complementary piece, a high level role player, if not superstar.
Yeah.
And so putting him alongside Tatum and Brown while also getting a Porzingis, who now, when you start to have this conversation, when you have the conversation of what three basketball players can you throw at that are better than the Suns three,
Mhm.
now if you go to a fourth player, Drew Holiday, Tatum, Brown, Porzingis. What four basketball players are you going to be able to throw at that are going to be better than that four?
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna go Celtics to win that division, among other things.
All right, and I'm in agreement with you. I like the Boston Celtics as well. One of the reasons why I like the Boston Celtics is yes, they did get Drew Holiday, and what he's going to do is bring championship DNA because he's won a championship. Also, he's going to be able to take some of the ball handling responsibilities, make plays, get Jason Tatum, better looks. But also, I've mentioned this before, Ralph. The one thing I like about the Boston Celtics, even though they have yet to win an NBA championship, they ran into that the babyface assassin who did a number on them. But even though it happens to a lot of teams, it's the fact that they do have youth, and me and you, we constantly talk about, not constantly talking about on this show, right? Is how young that core is, but they're developing, right?
Yeah.
And so they're developing. You have the slasher, you have Jason Tatum, who is someone who I've seen go, I say Glock for Glock with Giannis in a pivotal game in the playoffs, right? And so I think in the regular season, Jason Tatum, someone who was fourth in MVP voting last year, someone who averaged 30 points per game last season, age 25, right? Trying to enter his prime. I think he's going to be prime and to get back. And then I look at Derek White. We talk about Drew Holiday, but Derek White, you keep a Derek White. So you have those guys. You have the emergence and the growth of a Peyton Pritchard. You have Kristaps Porzingis. Now they did lose Grant Williams. They did lose a Time Lord, which I think is going to be some cause for concern, but not for the regular season per se. And they also have a coach in Joe Mazzulla, who everyone, people criticized him, but also, and I was one of those people, but I also said, will he learn from those mistakes? I think I know for a fact he misused Malcolm Brogdon, right? But I think that there's a period of orientation and a period of growth. So I just think that his sophomore year as a coach, I do believe he's going to learn, Ralph. And I think that the Celtics are going to take a leap, and I actually think they can win 60 games. So,
yeah.
I'm at.
And then Central, I went first the last two. So,
all right. So the Central Division, man. I'm sorry, but I got to do it to you, man. Your boy Dame decided to shake up the game. The Bucks, man. Nuck if you buck. But yeah, that screen and roll is going to be indefensible. I think that the pieces they just fit. Chris Middleton is a third option. Everyone, think about that. Chris Middleton, a 20 to 22 point per game score, is a third option. The emergence of Marjon Beauchamp is something that people need to look at, right? Then you also kept Bobby Portis. You have Brook Lopez, who everyone thought was going to take a step back last year. No, he played at a defensive player of the year level, right? You have a new head coach, obviously Adrian Griffin, so we'll see how that goes. But there were some issues with Mike Budenholzer, so in the drop coverage, and so I think they're going to make some adjustments with that. And I just like that team. And Giannis also, he looks bigger, like stronger, more muscular, and he spent the summer with Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon. So I think that this team is going to be prime, Ralph, to take over the Central Division.
And I agree, man. I don't really have much to say. As much as I know my Bulls are in that division, I think the Bulls are probably the second or third best team in that division behind maybe the Pacers or Cleveland. They could be third or fourth best team, depending on how you look at it.
Okay.
As much as I would like to say, if we had Lonzo, I would feel a lot more confident. But we lost today. We were in the game. We had a terrible third quarter, and that's what lost us the game. We just were never able to catch back up. But Pat looks good. He looks a lot more confident. We're shooting a lot more threes, which is a little, I don't know if we have the team for that style of basketball, but you never know what people are working on. Zach, Kobe, Pat are pretty good knockdown 3-point shooters. It's just can Vooch, DeMar, and Caruso, can they knock down enough threes to be able to make a difference?
Okay.
And so wrapping that up, we got first team all defense. We're not going to do second team because I just don't think we'll have enough time, but we're going to do first team all defense. So we got an extra 20 seconds to go. So give you 2 minutes to go through yours.
Okay. All right. So Jaren Jackson Jr. So I know you mentioned the Memphis Grizzlies. One key thing that the Memphis Grizzlies I think is really gonna kill them though, man, is Steven Adams. The news coming out that he's going to be out for the season, and so I know how the Grizzlies play when Steven Adams is not there, and so I think that as a plus for Jaren Jackson Jr. is his defensive rebounding stats are going to go up. He was a great defensive rebounder last year. I believe he led the NBA in blocks. And so he actually has a chance, I think, to win Defensive Player of the Year again. So I just think that that coupled with John Morant being out, defense is going to be huge in Memphis, and that's also identity. So I like Jaren Jackson Jr. to make it. I like Evan Mobley, somebody who's continuously played over 75 games in his career, and they had like a top 5 defense last year. Evan Mobley, you know him well, vision and stuff like that, and 7-footer, very good defender. And then I have Bam Adebayo, making it, playing with the chip on his shoulder. He just has to make it, in my opinion. And then I'm going to go with Drew Holiday because I feel like that guard spot is very, very tough in terms of how the voters seem to vote for it. I think Drew's going to fit right into that defensive identity over there in Boston. And then last but not least, even though I don't believe he's the best defender, I do believe he can make the first team. And he's done it before. Giannis, he's won the award. But the reason being, Ralph, as if I have to justify Giannis, right? But it's the fact that everyone's talking about the duo, and I feel like he's going to be more fresh now. So now Giannis can focus more on some of the defensive end parts, right? And he's already one of the best help defenders, if not the best help defender in the NBA. So those are my 5, and I'll swing it to you.
And I feel confident about 4, and there's this is 5th one because he's not. I just don't see him starting.
Okay.
Especially with Ja out. So, but I had Drew Holiday. I think he's going to be a great addition to that team. He'll be able to take some pressure off of Jalen and Tatum because he's able to guard 1 through 3. And so he can be the main defender on whoever the best ball handler is or the best scorer, the most threatening person is on that position. So I think he's going to get a brunt of that. And I feel like that fits into the defensive scheme, being able to help off of that. And so I think as the person that's spearheading that defense, I think that he can get a lot of nods for every reason that you mentioned as well. Marcus Smart is the one where I'm kind of like, I'm not sure because can your 6-man can you make a first defensive team while being a 6-man?
Yeah.
And that's the question at hand. Will he get enough minutes and opportunity to be able to make that much of a difference? And with the loss of a Steven Adams, I can see that happening because now you move Jaren from the 4 to the 5. And then at that point, other people would slide up or down, or Desmond Bane can move from the 2 to the 3. All the muscles he got, he probably could play the 4. But that's one of the things for me is I'm not sure if he'll get enough minutes and opportunity because when you add a Derrick Rose, when you add Marcus Smart, so already you have Ja and Desmond Bane. It just depends on who's going to get moved from that to that 3 or from that 3 to the 4, or will someone else move in? Will Xavier Tillman get a lot of the 4 of the 5? So Jaren Jackson going to stay at the 4. So that part right there is the part that I'm not 100% sure. So because of that, I'm going to take Smart.
Okay.
Jaren Jackson from that team because I don't think both of them make it. And I got Mikal Bridges. This is another one where I'm not 100% sure because I think with Ben Simmons being there and how he looks, it could take off some offensive pressure. But if he has to score 25 to 30 every night, I don't see him making the first team defense.
Okay.
But he showed that he can be durable because he played 83 games last year. Only 82. So
do you think Simmons could make the team, or you have him possibly on another team?
I have him on second team.
Okay. Yeah, because I like Simmons. I like Simmons when he's engaged. Yeah.
So with him looking engaged, I have him at second only because I'm not sure about his back.
Good point. I forgot about that.
So after that, I got Bam Adebayo.
Nice. I like it. I
I
think.
think versatile defender. I
Mm,
think if that team can still be in the fold, although
mm,
they've lost a lot,
yeah.
trying to replace that with young players and people that we may or may not know. I'm not sure how far they'll make it as far as record wise or even defensive stats. So if they can stay in the fold, stay competitive, I think Bam can do numbers to where the positive minus on defensive efficiency as an
Mm.
individual will help enough to be able to make that much of a difference. So I got Bam Adebayo and rounded out my five. Uh, I got Evan Mobley. I think for every reason that you mentioned, top five defense, anchor of the defense, long rim protector, alongside of a Jared Allen, who is someone I think also should get a lot more defensive one votes. But those two together, we're going to be in the top five when it comes to paint defense, being able to wipe away a lot of things, protection up front. Alongside you bring in a Struce, who's another wing defender,
Hmm.
tough defender. So I think it's going to make it easier for their jobs and his job as a whole. And I think he's going to actually be the anchor because now I believe that he should definitely be taking a step up to where he should be fighting for a third team spot
Okay. I
at
like
this
that. I like
at
that.
this point in his career.
Yeah. That's a nice team, man. That's a nice team right there.
And so perfect segue. We got third team on defense.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go first on this one. Uh,
Okay.
for every reason I mentioned before, I got Trey Young coming
Hmm.
in and getting this third spot. Um, this is another one where I think he has a lot to prove this year, being left off of certain teams last year. Even though he's put up tremendous numbers, I think that the actions off the court, getting into it with coaches, being a liability on defense to a certain degree, I think that these are all things that should be playing through his head during this offseason for him
Hmm.
to be motivated to go into this year and know, like, you know what, I'm gonna get to it, at least give effort on the defensive end, which could make enough noise for him as an individual while also being the Atlanta Hawks team being able to make enough noise for him to get into this third team spot. After that, I got Mikal Bridges for every reason that I mentioned before, being a lockdown defender while also possibly being the best offensive threat on that team. If he
Hmm.
could average that 25 to 30 while also being a key component on defense, I can see him making a third team. I got Bam next. The thing for Bam that's always gonna get frustrates me is you get a lot of open mid range, and I just feel like at some point for you to take your game to the next level, you gotta be able to knock that down. And so hopefully he's been in the lab because he can take you off the dribble, strong, big body going to the rim, being able to guard 3 through 5 on defense, even switch out and put up a good contest against ones and twos on a switch of the pick and roll, but also being able to get you, if he could get you about a 20, 18 and 10 and 5, 4 assists, I can see him in that spot.
Yeah.
And next up, I got Dame. I just don't see Dame not making a top 3 team.
Hmm.
We'll see whether or not is it a thing where like Lamar, you don't have much to play for, so what am I playing through injuries for?
Hmm.
Um, or has he been legit hurt to the point where he hasn't been able to even qualify?
Mm.
And so with them now having a 65 game limit, where you got to play at least 65 games in order to qualify for postseason awards, I see Dame being able to put up numbers where he's going to make an all-star team. He should be an all-star starter and definitely should be in the conversation as far as first, second, or third team.
Yeah.
And my last spot is LeBron, man. I think that
Mm.
one thing that has me a little weary is the minutes restriction. If they keep him from 29 to 33 minutes a game, can he do enough damage in that time period while he's on the court to be able to get his team to a top 5 spot in the West, which is what I think it will take for him to get on these All NBA teams.
Okay, and you can never really go wrong with the person who's fighting against the father time himself, LeBron, 21st season, and he's going to always fill up the stat sheet. That's one thing.
Right.
All right, so for my All NBA 13, I have De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox was the clutch performer of the year. So I think that his ability to close out in fourth quarters, his ability to spearhead the number one offense in the NBA, scoring offense in the NBA, and also once again the Sacramento Kings with that pick and roll game with him and Sabonis, I think is very, very deadly. And Fox is continuously making leaps, and people now also they know who he is because of his ability to spar with Steph Curry. So I look at the media voters being able to recognize him more as a name. So he's no longer off the radar. Now he has their fully and undivided attention. And so I think that's going to allow him to leap and make the All NBA team. So he's going to be third team for me. Then for all the reasons that you mentioned about Trae Young, and also I feel like him getting snubbed from Team USA, even though I understand that usually when you talk about international play, they look for a certain type of, guard, a bigger guard, playmaking guard, etc. But Trae Young scoring, they could have actually used some of that as well overseas, even though rebounding was really what killed them. But I just think that he just has a chip on the shoulder for multiple reasons, and I think sometimes that's what you need to drive you forward. So I like Trae Young's ability, and also him playing that 2-man game with Dejounte Murray. Then I'm going to go with Anthony Edwards. I had to pick someone who came off Team USA and this for the FIBA, for FIBA and Team USA, and make that leap. And Anthony Edwards all summer, he's been playing all summer. He's been coming up big, and I like what he's going to mean for that Minnesota Timberwolves team. And I think that offensively and even defensively, he's going to make strides. Then I have Mikal Bridges being the number one option out there in Brooklyn, right? And we saw what he was able to do. He made a huge leap. I think he had one of the largest leaps, actually, like in NBA history in terms of switching from a team via trade, right? I think his points per game average went up like 9 points per game. We might have to fact check that. But he was something around that there, like 7 or 9 points per game. And then my sleeper pick is also who I'm picking, though, to make it, is Victor Wembanyama. And the reason why is I believe Victor Wembanyama is going to play anywhere between 33 minutes to even maybe 36 minutes per game, depending on how Popovich wants to use him, Ralph. And I just think that with the Spurs, it's all going to pretty much be, hey, Wembanyama, go out, affect the game, and he affects the game in multiple ways. We saw it in preseason. He's getting like 3 blocks, right? He's getting the rebounds. His ability to score. No one's really going to be able to block his shot. And so I think that he's fifth in the odds, I think, and even defensive player of the year voting, even though no rookie has ever made defensive player of the year in NBA history. But I think that Wembanyama's ability to affect the game on both ends is going to bear fruit and pay dividends. So I think he's actually going to sneak onto all NBA team, kind of like Tim Duncan did in his rookie year. So we'll see what happens. So that's my team.
All right. And then so right now we're at with the time that we got to get your point out in about 2 minutes.
All right, we can do that. So second team?
Second team.
Okay, second team, I have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, averaged 35 points per game last season. The OKC is going to have the win total, I believe. Devin Booker continually making strides. I think he could also be in cahoots for winning the scoring title, depending on Kevin Durant's injuries and et cetera. But I believe Phoenix will be like a top 3 seed in the West, potentially top 5. Donovan Mitchell spearheading the Cavs. This is a guy who scored 71 points per game last year, people. So let's not sleep on Donovan Mitchell. Then I like Jaylen Brown. I know your boy Jaylen, man. Jaylen got that big contract. So the bigger the contract, the bigger the expectations. Let's not forget that. So I think Jaylen Brown is going to live up to that contract. And then I have Bam Bam. And I'm not talking about the Flintstones. I'm talking about Adebayo with a chip on the shoulder, having gone to the NBA Finals, having sparred with the Jokers of the world. And they're going to really need to rely on Bam this season Ralph, like you mentioned, they lost a lot of pieces. So who else is going to be the second best player on that team outside Jimmy? Excuse me, I would say playoff Jimmy, but Jimmy, it's going to be Bam. So that's what I got.
And so, same thing, man. Sticking with yours, man. Trying to think where my yeah. I had Jalen. I had Shea. I had Donovan Mitchell, but I'm gonna take him completely off and replace him with Anthony Edwards
Okay.
on my second team. So I'm gonna have Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, probably one of the deepest bags offensively in all of the NBA. Depending on he made first team last year, right?
Yep.
I think I think it's gonna be. I don't know. I think that we're going into this year, teams are not gonna. It's not that he's gonna catch teams off guard, but
Mm,
there's defenses that are gonna be catered to stopping him and letting others. So we'll see what happens as far as what he's able to do in this next season. I got Anthony Edwards for all the reasons why I said I think that the Timberwolves could possibly make definitely win their division.
mhm,
I think his ability to knock down the long ball, attack the rim, and be someone that could make a second team all defense with the type
mhm.
of talent level that he has. I just got him taken after we've seen people's jumps from playing USA basketball to how they come back to the league. I think the confidence that he was able to get while being not amongst stars, but at least like in this group, I'm clearly the best.
Okay.
And so after that, Edwards, I got Jalen Brown. I
Mhm.
actually have Embiid
Okay.
not making first team. I have him making second team.
Mhm.
It's always going to be him, Jokic, 1, 2, who's the best at that position. And then Fox, De'Aaron Fox, uh, speeding bullet on the floor, leader of the Sacramento Kings team, who I think is going to go finish in the top four this season.
Mm.
And so next up, I got the first team,
Yeah.
All NBA. And so I'm gonna go Luca,
Mhm.
although I do think Luca's slightly overrated, but that's a conversation for a whole nother day. I just think that the way that people feel about the media feels about Luca, offensive numbers, he's is gonna be there.
Mhm.
This day and age, they don't really care about basketball. I mean, not basketball, but defense. So it's not really going to be that big a deal. But I think that how well his team does, I think the additions that they have as far as the others is what is going to pay dividends. I got Jason Tatum, the other part of the Tatum and Brown attorney's office. I think he's going to be in that MVP conversation. Great defender, offensive bag, but can he get out of his own head when it comes to just shooting the long ball too much? That's
Yeah.
really what's going to pay as far as how far that team can go. Giannis, long defender, being able to play off of a Dame in a pick and roll where he's going to get more matchups going to the basket. I just think that he's going to be able to put up phenomenal numbers. Jokic, who a lot of people have possibly winning the MVP, and I'm gonna take Book for that last spot, man.
I
I,
love that.
being the leader of that team, playing through him and what they have, I just feel like he's primed for a first team. I wouldn't be surprised to see Bradley Beal make an All NBA team as well.
Okay, and I like that. I like that book pick because he's someone who's slowly starting to like win me over. Because I think a lot of people got like the whole don't double me and pick up. I think people have taken that and they started to run with it, and they're not really examining. This is like social media. They're not examining how he's been playing. I've been giving him his praises for like since last season. So yeah, I like that pick, man. Okay. And then for me, I have Luca the Don Juan DeMarco, and then then I have Jason Tatum. I have Giannis the Greek Freak Man, Joel Embiid, and then I have Nikola Jokic, who many say is the best in the NBA. So that's my NBA first team.
And so next up, we got the Rookie of the Year,
All right.
which really I really only have someone else outside of Wimby just as an argument.
Okay.
Um,
Well, wait, it's a valid argument though.
although I do think that
Yeah.
in my personal opinion, if it's not going to be Woodby, I think that Scoot Henderson
I was gonna say,
actually has a chance.
yeah. He
All
played out here.
Thompson twins, I like both of them. And I think the one in Houston is the better one.
Mm-hmm.
I could be wrong.
Well,
I have
it depends. It
I don't
depends on you, right?
I just know I've seen them play, and I
Yeah.
think the one in Houston is the better one.
Mm-hmm.
But my
Yeah.
rookie of the year, I got Chet Holmgren.
Okay.
Second year, didn't play at all last year, so now he's eligible to be a rookie. He's still a rookie.
Mm-hmm.
Having that year with NBA training, going into the team, knowing that the way that the team is built and constructed, he's going to be a force on defense, while also seeing him being able to take the ball off the dribble, post move, ability to knock down open jumpers, because Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is going to get 2 and 3 defenders thrown at him. Jalen Williams is going to get 2 defenders thrown at him as well. So now being that third or fourth player with Josh Giddey or him being that third or fourth option, I think that he's going to be able to put up numbers, and that team's going to be able to finish. They have the potential with the talent that they have on that team to finish 6, 7, if not be in a playing game.
Yeah. Okay, I like it. I like it. I think with OKC, like we talked about, with just the improvement, right? And I think I think the only thing is, will Shea will also help him, but will Shea take away from him?
Right.
In terms of, like, the production and points and all that kind of stuff. So, but we'll see. And I think that when you name all those names, Ralph, I think all those have a case when you think about it. Though it just comes down to who has the strongest case, and I think it also comes down to health. So we'll see. And I'm going to go with Victor Wembanyama, man. Victor Wembanyama, I just think offensively, defensively, the way he affects the games, the minutes he's going to play, and I think we mentioned the realistic expectations on the last show. I think he's going to exceed the likes of a Kristaps Porzingis, and it's very hard to look at. And I say Porzingis because we were trying to find certain players in terms of like height, somewhat of profile, but his game is just far more advanced. He's a better passer. He's a better ball handler. He's like KD mixed with this, you know what I'm saying? So we've never seen a player like Victor. Really, we just haven't. And so it's very hard to go back in history and pull from someone, because Blake Griffin was different, Blake Griffin was power and that. And so it's just different. So I like Victor, man. I'm going to go with Victor for the rookie of the year, the odds on favorite. Okay.
And so next up, we got most improved player.
Yeah. So most improved player, it's a pool party. All right. Bring out the Big Pimp and UGK music and Jay-Z. All right. Taking it back, man. Oh, yeah. So people are like, man, you guys are old heads now. But no, I got to go with Jordan Poole, man. I know he got a lot of flack, and also, I'm being real, it was warranted, but I think that he's going to grow from it, right? Or we hope he grows from it. He's going to mature from it, and he's going to change the scenery. He's going to be the man out there. It's going to be him and Kuzma. And just his ability to affect the game, shoot the 3 ball. He has a little bit of that James Harden in him, Ralph. And I saw him in preseason and how he's been balling out and everything. And I just think that he's ready to take over DC by storm. And I think a lot of people are sleeping on him. There's a lot of really good candidates for it. I did think of some players in Portland, but I'm like, are they going to clash in terms of being candidates? You know what I'm saying? So I kind of went with Jordan Poole as kind of like that middle kind of guy. And I just like him because I was thinking about he might make all-star reserve maybe, or even possibly an all-star team. So I'm going to go with Jordan Poole.
And this one, man, I have a tie, man.
Okay.
I got Shaedon Sharpe because I just think that he's going to be able to get more opportunities, more minutes, and be able to affect the game to where he could. And if he's not able to, then I think that Keegan Murray is going to be a legit third, fourth option on that Sacramento team that could finish in the top 4 or 5
I like that.
in the West. And so I think with that, if you have that type of ability to do well, I think your team success is going to propel a lot of individual success this year.
Okay. I like it.
So I'm going to go 30 seconds on this. We got Coach of the Year. I got Darko, what was it, Markovic. I think that was how
From
you
Toronto.
out of Toronto.
Yeah, the Raptors coach.
I just think that Toronto had a down year.
Mhm.
Also, not Markovic, Darko Rajakovic.
Okay.
Hopefully I said that right. But I think they have a lot of team. I think they have a lot of talent, a lot of skilled players. I think they had a down year. You get rid of some and bring in some younger talent. Scotty Barnes is going to be able to take the next step in his progression. Can he be the best player on the team? We'll see. Good long defender. Pascal Siakam is still there, so you have leadership. And I just think that they'll be able to finish in the top 5, which I think, given where they were last year, I think it puts them in a position to where he could be coach. It'll put him up for coach of the year.
Okay. I like that, man. I like that. Coach of the year is one of the hard things, along with most improved player of the year, to predict, right? Because what is really the criteria? But I'm going to go with Mark Daigneault from OKC. I'm looking at him because he keeps making a precipitous leap each year. He had a 16-win improvement last year, 25 games to 40 games. They weren't even projected to win that many games. They wound up being a 5th seed, or excuse me, they were scored the 5th most points in the NBA. They also had Shai Gilgeous-Alexander averaging 35 points per game, but they scored the 5th most points in the NBA, Ralph, without Chet Holmgren, who was supposed to be a Rookie of the Year candidate, and now he is a Rookie of the Year candidate. He's back. They were top 15 in defensive rating as well. So I'm looking at if he can get the Oklahoma City Thunder to at least a top 6 seed, right, and continue to improve. I believe the win total for them is actually 42 games. If they could win 50 games or get to 48 to 50 games out west, I believe that it's in the bag for him, right? So that he would have already yet again superseded, expectations that the voters and the odds have for him. So I like Mark Daigneault out of OKC.
All right. Defensive player of the year. I mentioned him before.
Mm-hmm.
Evan Mobley is my pick for defensive player of the year. Long defender. I think he can be the anchor of that team, although he has help with the Jared Allen. But Giannis, when he was winning defensive player of the year, he still had Brook Lopez to help him clean up some things on the back end. So I think long, lengthy defender, rim protector, while also being quick-footed enough to help on the perimeter. I got Evan Mobley taking the next step in his progression and getting that defensive player of the year.
Okay, and I like that pick, and I believe it's going to be a tight race, and you actually might wind up being right on Evan Mobley, really, because I was like, man, maybe I should change my pick. But I'm going to stick with my guns on this one. I'm going to go with Jaren Jackson Jr. to win back-to-back defensive player of the years. And I don't know, back-to-back. We might have to check who was the last person to win back-to-back. It was the Claw. Hey, shout out to my boy Kawhi Leonard. But this is not a Kawhi Leonard love fest show right now. We can get into that another day. But my boy. But like I mentioned earlier before, and I wrote it down. I believe he has the best odds at plus 500. But he's led the league in blocks. Ja Morant is suspended for the first 25 games. So that means that defense is going to be key for Memphis. And he's going to have a lot of people, going to the rim, et cetera. But also Steven Adams being out once again. Someone has to take up for that load that Steven Adams being out. Now, they do have, if I'm not mistaken, still Xavier Tillman is still on the team, though. So maybe that would be the person. But and then I look at games played. AD's played 56 games. You have to play a 65-game minimum. He played 56 last year. Evan Mobley has played 79. Giannis played 63. He does deal with some injuries here or there, but maybe Dame makes him fresher. And then JJJ, he played 63 games, so that's close. But I think that if he can play more and he can stay out of foul trouble, you get to continue to win it again. So I'm going to have him win back-to-back.
All right, you got 30 seconds on the MVP.
All right, MVP, Jason Tatum, man. The last 5 MVPs have been international players. I believe narrative will play a role in this one. I think they do want an American to win it since James Harden. 14 of the last 15 MVPs scored at least 25 points per game. Tatum scored 30 last year. They must play a minimum of 65 games, and 33 of the last 35 MVPs were on a top 3 seeded team. The Boston Celtics are going to win 60 games. Jason Tatum is 25 years old. He finished 4th last season. I'm going with Tatum, man.
And I think that Giannis is going to take it. The one thing that I'm worried about is having someone of the caliber of a Dame. How much does he take away in MVP voting? But I think help defender, he should take up step up and guard more on ball uh,
Mhm.
perimeter defense this year. And so I think being able to score 30 points, have your team in the top three, and put up stellar numbers as an individual while also efficiency on offense and defense, I think will help him propel himself to the MVP spot.
All right, I love it.
And so with what we got left, we got some quick hitters. Who is on the hot seat in the NFL? What coach is on the hottest seat?
Ah, man, the coach that is on the hottest seat in the NFL, man. I'm still gonna go with the hoodie, man. I'm gonna go with the hoodie, man. I gotta go with the hoodie, the AKA the Sith Lord himself, Bill Belichick, because Robert Kraft's been real quiet, man. You know what I'm saying? Quiet doesn't always mean comfort. Now, quiet could be, hey, I'm working behind the scenes now. You know what I'm saying? So I think that Bill Belichick is just quietly on the hot seat because I think with them is at some point in time, Ralph, they need to make the playoffs though, right? And Mac Jones is if you expect him to be the future of the franchise, and I know they did win, and shout out to Bill Belichick getting his 300th win, but you need to perform better. Like you just need to perform better. And in that division, what you don't want to do, Ralph, is get behind. You have the Bills, you have the Dolphins, who their schedule actually coming next couple of weeks is going to be kind of tough. And then you have what's that other team in there? The Jets, the formerly known as the just in the season Jets, are now they have defense, and maybe Aaron Rodgers comes back. So yeah, I just think that just monitor the situation. You know, that's all.
I feel that. I feel that. And I think for me, I got Brandon Staley, man, and I
Right.
think it's a problem when you have that type of talent on offense. Eckler, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams goes down, but you have Quentin Johnson, Jordan Palmer, or Josh Palmer, I think.
That's all. Yeah.
And then Justin Herbert, and you have
Mm.
too much firepower on both sides of the ball for you to be 2-4.
Mm.
I feel like at some point it's either Justin Herbert or it's the coach. They just re-signed Justin Herbert, so this coach got to go.
Yeah, this is gonna be coach.
And so next quick hitter, are the Ravens that good? Are the Lions just they frauds?
I actually do believe that the Ravens are that good. I got to give respect to the Lions. Why? Because everyone said, "Oh, the Lions were this and that coming in," and then when the Ravens beat them, nobody wanted to give the Lions credit, right? So I think that the Lions are good, and I think that Jameson Williams, who got targeted 6 times, by the way, didn't get any catches. I think he's about to break out. And if you look at their schedule, Ralph, the Lions, I believe, are going to probably get the #1 seed. No disrespect to the Eagles and the Niners. I think just based off schedule alone, but I do think the Lions are actually pretty. Aren't frauds, but the Ravens, what did I say? And I've been saying it. I said I think they're going to be a better second half team, right? And
Right.
and Lamar's been dicing up teams and the flow and the rhythm, and people just need to give it time, man. So just if I had to answer the question, man, I'm gonna go with the Ravens. Then I'm just going with the Ravens because the defense, since Roquan Smith's been only allowing teams to average 14 points per game, at least every player on the defense has a sack. 11 different players has a sack. Clowney has found the fountain of youth, even though he's my age. So I shouldn't say that, but it makes me feel old. So I don't know if the Lions are frauds, man. I just don't know. I don't think they frauds yet. So I'll find out. I feel like you're gonna go different. I just have this vibe. I don't know. What you got, bro?
I think with that, man, I think that the Lions. I don't
Yeah.
think the Lions are frauds. I think that they just had a game where you just play bad.
Okay.
I think the matchups that they did, them coming out and just thinking that they was just going to be able to play man all game. I think that that's really what was their undoing. And so I don't think that they make that same mistake going into the next game.
All right. I like that. They're gonna blow out their next opponent. There we go.
Right. And so I'm gonna skip the Brock Purdy conversation, and we're gonna go straight to NBA because it is NBA season. But there were some opening season games yesterday. Lakers take on the Nuggets. Nuggets get the victory. What's your biggest takeaway from the game?
The Nuggets. Oh, all right. So my biggest takeaway for the Nuggets, if you want to be real, is that they're better than the Lakers, and the Lakers aren't going to beat them if they beat them in the playoffs. But no, So that's my biggest takeaway, man. But Anthony Davis, when engaged, he looks great. But outside of that, don't sleep on them. They're back. KCP, every time he plays the Lakers, he's gonna have some extra on them. So yeah, but they're here. They're here. The Nuggets, don't sleep on them. They're here.
I brought it up earlier. LeBron's minutes restriction is going to be something to look at. AD 17 points in the first half, 0 points in the second half, and these are the things that when you go down, you're LeBron is the Lakers were +7 when LeBron was in the game, and then -10 when he's not in the game. So there's that big disparity of the two. So his minutes restriction, while also can AD stay engaged, I think it's going to be the most telling thing for what happens and how this season goes.
I'm telling you, that bubble chip was his championship, man. He was like, all right. I like that, though.
Warriors and Suns, what was your biggest takeaway from the Warriors and Suns game?
I like that Suns offense, man. And they don't even have Bradley Beal. Yeah, they had a little defensive lapses here or there, but it's early, right? And then CP3, I think you mentioned the minutes restriction and stuff. The minutes with CP3 and Steph Curry, I think they're going to be alternating minutes. Chris Paul didn't look too bad, but also they didn't have Draymond Green as well. So I think that I'm trying to look at the emergence of Kuminga. Can Kuminga, Ralph, make that jump? Can Moses Moody continue to make that jump? Because I think they're going to go as far as the young guys go this year. But Phoenix Suns, they're prolific. I think they may have the best offense in the NBA this season at the end when it's all said and done.
I agree, man. I think that one of the things that you pay attention to and you look when you watch the game is we went into it having questions about depth. And so we got 4 points, 8 rebounds from Eubanks. Watanabe, 8 points off the bench.
I love him, by the way.
Eric Gordon, 10 points off the bench. Josh Okogie, 17. Nurkic, 14 and 14. And so I think going into this season, we had questions about their depth, and I think all the questions were answered. Now it just depends on how well can they play going into the end of the year and health-wise, because Bradley Beal out with a back injury. Devin Booker is going to pull a hamstring at some point this year. I'm not wishing it happens, but he always pulls a hamstring.
Yeah.
And so I think going into this year, health and depth, and I think how Okogie played last night, Grayson Allen, you would think that he's going to be able to hit some more open shots. He had some open jumpers that he just was missing last night. Devin Booker was phenomenal, 32-8. And so bringing along some of the younger guys, a good one, who's a good, young, tough defender, Nasir Little, big body, athletic, wing 3-4 tweener. And so I saw enough to make me feel confident about this team going into the year. And so I'm not really sure, but that wraps up our NBA season predictions. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you go look at the ticker on the bottom of the screen. Follow me at KYNGRALPH on Twitch, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, add an underscore for Twitter. Basketball season is up full effect. So for unbiased breakdown and analysis, go on Instagram at the.houseofhoops. Follow our Instagram page at j.u.k.sportshow. Make sure you subscribe at j.u.k.media, Juke Media. On YouTube, like the Facebook channel, the He Say, She Say, All One Big Chunk channel, the He Say, She Say channel. We need your subscriptions. We need your interactions. Comment, like, share, tell everybody. Word of mouth is everything. But thank you all for watching. We out of here. Aces going for the 3-peat. And we out.
Peace.
Love. Peace.